Here is the 2025 BMW X7 M60i in black sapphire metallic over black full Milano leather. This swaps out that B58 for the S68 engine, which is going to give us 148 horsepower more, 155 pound-feet of torque more, dropping the 0 to 60 by over a second, opposed to the base X7 X-Drive 40i. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and I'm going to go over the pros and cons, the problem that I have with the M60i, comparable rivals, and we're gonna start up front. We have the upgraded crystal LED headlights that go into the daytime runnings. It's LED that brush into the enlarged grille. It's an active grille shutter, and it illuminates with the M badging. The lower is going to be all opened up with front parking sensors and a 360-degree reverse camera, which gives you the car wash view that shows trajectory for the front so you don't scratch these upgraded wheels. All X7s get 8.7 inches of clearance. The weight distribution is actually going to be the best on the base X7. This one's going to be at 48.1, 51.9, but what's housed underneath the hood is what changes the whole game. It's a BMW 4.4 liter M-powered turbo. That's a twin turbo, producing 523 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque paired to an 8-speed Steptronic automatic transmission, reaching 60 BMW's quoting at 4.5 seconds, which is 0.6 seconds slower than the XB7, but you're getting a savings here, and this is a better weight distribution. You're going to be losing some horsepower and torque, but you're going to gain some MPGs because you're getting 16 to the city and 20 for the highway. Because we have the upgraded wheels, it changes the 130 mile per hour top speed to 155. 22-inch Y-spoke alloy wheels in the gloss black. M Sport brakes housing 4 pistons in the front with a single floating caliper in the rear, going into competition like the Range Rover Sport. That's going to get a slower 0 to 60. You will have to bump it up to the SV, and when you're doing that, it's really more comparable to the XB7, but just to show numbers, this is only a few tenths of a second slower. When you go into the XB7, it's going to be faster than that with 627 horsepower. Go into Mercedes GLS AMG 63, that's going to be at 4 seconds 0 to 60. But then when you're thinking the price, that's over 30 grand more than this, so it compares to the XB7 yet again. Towing is not going to be the best, but you're still getting up to 7,500 pounds, and going against Audi, they don't make a variant that's as long as this, but if you were to go to the SQ7 with 500 horsepower, the 0 to 60 is going to be a little bit quicker, but when you're thinking price to price, this is going to be the sweet spot, because even if you were to option, say, a Bentley Bentayga, that would go against the XB7. That's going to be over 200 grand, and it's only 0.1 second quicker than this box structure SUV that's getting the best weight distribution, and you get the rear axle steering, so it makes it a little bit more tight for the corners and to get in and out of harder maneuvers. Power lift gate going into 12.8 cubic feet of storage. You can lower the suspension in the back because we have the 2-axle air suspension. Underneath the floor, it gets a little storage cubby that is pretty deep, and you can hide the privacy cover for the second row. LED interior lights with a 12-volt charger. Split fold the second row at a 50-50 split in the back electronically. That's going to increase cargo to 48.6 cubic feet. And you could do the same thing for the second row captain seats, electronically folding them in the back, maxing cargo to 90.4 cubic feet of storage. But this is the S68. We need to go inside and start it up so you can hear that exhaust note. Soft closed doors. Going into 20-way power seat adjustment, heated, ventilated, massage front seats, memory for the passenger and driver, headroom, and leg room. The X7 is a sporty, driver-focused setup. So it's going to start off with the M badging, with ambient lighting that's going to surround the whole dashboard. It even goes into the Bower & Wilkins upgraded sound system and inside the metal mesh, as well as the center cluster And the door pockets, 5-zone climate control. That's because we have the climate package, which will give us heated seats in every row. 14.9 inch is going to be in the center. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, it's wireless. Amazon Alexa, Sirius XM, AM FM streaming Bluetooth audio. Put it into reverse, 360-degree reverse camera, full trajectory for the front and the rear. When you click onto the more, you're going to have that 3D view and the car wash view, which will show the trajectory for the front so you don't scratch these upgraded wheels. And so you can see that 3D view. You can use gesture, or you can touch onto the icons here to go all around the vehicle, or use the iDrive in the lower. Working into the wood that goes into the ventilated and heated cup holders, which is part of the executive package, which also adds the massage seats to the front. 12-volt USB and a wireless charging pad right here with the digital key for BMW and the key fob for the X7 M60i. Glass controls is also part of that executive package. This is going to be soft to touch. It opens up into a deep storage pocket with another USB port, leather wrap steering wheel. It's 3-spoke, multi-function M badging, cross stitch. Paddle shifts are plastic. I wish those were metal. And the gauge cluster is a 12.3 digital reader, which can go through an array of information for the driver. I usually leave it on the AR so I can see the contents in front of me using the frontal camera. With the heads-up display, you can configure this to show different content, including turn-by-turn navigation, your sound system. And when you go into here, it will change out the whole layout for the gauge cluster to make it a little bit more sporty. And the same thing for the heads-up display. You can make it more sport, or you can reduce the view, or you can have the directional view and the standard view. Alcantara headliner, auto dimming rear view mirror, 2-panel moon roofs. The wood will brush into the air vents, and that will integrate into the door panel, which will have soft materials, contrast stitching, ambient lighting, soft to touch, long storage pocket with a beverage holder carved out, and a storage pocket for the driver. The second row headroom and leg room. Storage pocket behind both of the front seats. USB ports as well with a connector. Dual climate control setting, heated second row with a tray of storage, 2 USB, a 12-volt cup holders, and the armrest folds out and it will also lock into place so when you are reclining, you can get a little bit more comfortable. The seats also move back. So this is in the position I could sit in the back, and now we're going to go even further. So this is the furthest position back. And reclined, you can see the way it looks. The ambient lighting, and you get the power sunshades, which you can do on both sides. And you can also do the shades for the pano and for the back pano. Kind of wish there was a button for the third row so they could put their own in the back. Door panel is going to be soft to touch. Same materials that's found in the front with the same size storage pocket. Entering to the back, pull this lever and it's going to electronically move forward. And it adjusts up to give a little bit more leg space. And that's the entrance that you have at 6'3". That's my dimensions. I'm going to come into the back. We get a cup holder. We get the Alcantara headliner, 5 climate control settings, heated third row with our own moon roof. And we're going to fold this back while it's reclining because it takes a few seconds. Headroom. It's actually not too bad. As it comes back, it will adjust, and pretty much I'm going to be against the seats. The rails are fine where they're at, but you do have a little bit of a hump here, and if you are reclining all the way back, you can see somebody my dimensions will not be able to fit. Twin turbo V8, Sport Plus, 523 horsepower, 553 pound-feet of torque, 4.5 seconds BMW is quoting for the 0 to 60 with a near 50-50 weight distribution. We do have tire shine, but let's see what we got. It's fast. Brakes are good. Cornering. That's what I like about BMW. It's all around. This is a box. It's very impressive what it's doing. Keeping its composure. I'm gonna stop right here so we can really see that 0 to 60 unfold. Just puts a smile on your face. And you get the pops that come into place. For the exit, we're gonna be blocked off, unfortunately. But when you got an S68, you just go. I like what I'm getting. Wow. It's very impressive. It hugs the roads and it just screams, wanting more and more, and you can just keep feeding it. So I like that you're getting full round performance for a high-end luxury SUV, especially when you're considering 8.7 inches of clearance with 2-axle air suspension. I mean, this just changes your whole thought process when you're thinking mathematically. But it's gonna take me to some pros and cons. Starting off with the pros is you're not just getting performance, but soft materials in the interior. The con to it though, you do have to option features like the crystal headlight assembly on the exterior, and on the interior, you do have to option the comfort package to get heated seats in every row, which will also include ventilated seats once you start tacking on more features. Plus you get the crystal for the center here, and that's part of the executive package. So I don't necessarily like that you have to keep ticking the box to increase the price, but I can understand because of what you're getting as a package value. Some other pros is you're getting great towing capabilities, good head and leg room in every row. And when you're at this price point, MPGs is the last of your worries. You do have a 48-volt mild hybrid technology that does help with the auto start stop and the twin turbo layout. Because if you're thinking about Audi, the SQ7, you're gonna feel a lot more lag than you would in an RS Q8. Now I know the Q8 and a Q7 is two different vehicles, but they don't make an RS Q7. Going against Mercedes, it is pretty seamless. I mean, you got over 600 horsepower in that thing. It is super quick. But then the price also is going to be over 30 grand more than this to be featured up at the same rate, which you could go into the XP7 and that vehicle is going to be just as fast. And when you go into the XP7, now you're starting to open up doors to Rolls-Royce, to Bentley, in which it's right on par with those vehicles and there's a saving. You don't have all those button layout and that old luxury. This is going to be a little bit more hip. You can even option the 31-inch screen that comes from the headliner down, and it's a touch screen which you can also tailor to have 3 different screen configuration for 3 people that's sitting in the center. How cool is that? But coming back to the M60i, it's going to beat the Range Rover Sport. You have to go up to the SV, and even if you go up into the autobiography, you're just a few tenths of a second quicker. You're going to be more towards $200,000, making this the sweet spot for long SUVs. Cadillac doesn't even make something as powerful as this either. Yeah, you can option a diesel, but the interior is not going to be as soft as this. We've switched it into comfort mode so we can see a difference, because this is going to be more or less the way you're going to drive it. Me personally, Sport Plus, at least for a good 5-10,000 miles. Everything's acoustic. You hear the exhaust note filter in. The width, it's not that bad. It does feel long and wide, and you do feel tall. But when you have this much power, you're not necessarily concerned about getting in and out of lanes. Even though it's long, you can still do so. It's gonna have a touch of lag in comfort mode. It's not as seamless as Sport Plus, but that's also the same in pretty much every single vehicle. Some more pros to the vehicle is the ambient lighting that's surrounding everything, even inside the speaker casing, which looks really cool. The cons is it takes forever for the seat configuration for the second row, for the third row. Even if you want to lower the suspension in the rear, sometimes you got to turn on and off the vehicle. And the problem that I have is going to be in the infotainment screen for the X7. There's a lot of configurations, different pages. It can be it just wraps your mind around in circles. Plus, there's still some lag, even though the 8.5 is a little bit more seamless, especially for Apple CarPlay in the Siri, but it still can kick off and kick on your Apple CarPlay, which should be a lot more easy. Being over 5,400 pounds, you don't have any lag. I also am not a huge fan of the rear axle steering because I feel like it kind of cheats. But when you're in a pinch, it does help quite a bit because this vehicle is well over 200 inches long. And the turn radius, because of it, is gonna get right at 2 lanes. Let's rock and roll. Still a smooth drive though, and that's derived for the air suspension, and it doesn't feel boaty, which typically it would in other variants. That's why I like the dynamics of BMW. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like, and I'd like to thank BMW of Wesley Chapel for giving us this 2025 BMW X7 M60i for our car review.